For the Eagles, touchdown! Sixers,
oh yeah,
and Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
Oh, what a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Welcome back from the first Eagles weekend where they didn't play. They don't want to bye week. We had no Eagles games to watch this weekend. No Eagles games on 97.3 ESPN FM. And of course, we are broadcasting live every day on GameNight on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Glad to have you guys on board the show today. But there's a little Eagles news we do want to touch on. We do want to touch on a little news that came out about an hour ago. Plus, we will talk as well about the Sixers' impressive win yesterday and the busy football weekend. Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press will join us coming up at 6:20 tonight. Also, you guys can join the conversation at 609-403-0973. Also, your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. I will get to the Sixers stuff in just a moment because I have a lot of thoughts on the Sixers game from yesterday. But I do want to start with the Eagles because I was very intrigued by the news that came out about a little less than an hour ago. So the news came out that the Eagles had worked out some players, right? They brought in Anthony Barr, who's a linebacker, Andrew Norwell, who's a guard, Lecitus Smith, who is a center, and Noah Togiai, who plays tight end. Now, the name Togiai might be familiar to you because he was in Eagles training camp a couple of years ago. And the name Anthony Barr might be familiar with you because he's basically played in the NFL for over a decade. Well, Barr has already been signed by the Vikings, so he will not be joining Philadelphia anytime soon. But ultimately, you still have a situation where, frankly, I'm very curious about why they worked out these specific players. And it gives me two questions in the back of my mind. Number one, working out Andrew Norwell and Lecitus Smith suggests to me that either Cam Jurgens is not 100% ready to come back, or the Sua Opeta hip issue is not as simple and as straightforward as we were previously led to believe. Because you're not working out. I mean, Andrew Norwell was a top offensive lineman at one point in the league. Now, injuries and age have slowed him down, but I mean, you're talking about a guy in Norwell. He was a pro. He was an all pro, for goodness sake. Now, this was like 6 years ago, but still, I mean, the guy has started 127 games. You're not working out a guy like that unless you have a reason to bring him in. So that's the one name that stands out to me. The other name that stands out to me is Noah Togiai. And the Noah Togiai sounds like a situation where the Eagles are not 100% sure when Dallas Goedert is coming back. Right now on the roster, they have Jack Stahl and Grant Calcaterra. Those two are probably in line to get the most snaps at tight end, and Goddard's absent. And then remember a few months ago when they traded for Albert Okuwaguman, you have a guy in Albert Okuwaguman who he's a talented athlete. He's a good player, but he hasn't got on the field yet. And then you have E.J. Jenkins in the practice squad. So I'm not trying to be an alarmist. I'm not trying to read too much into it, but I do find it curious that Philadelphia works out players at two positions with players that we were anticipating would be coming back. And now, when you see them work out those guys, it just makes you wonder. It just makes you think. It makes you curious the why. And I'm just wondering. What that means. Again, we'll know more throughout the week when the injury report comes out. And keep in mind also the Eagles play on Monday night, not Sunday. And because of that, the likelihood of us getting any answers about this team, health or injury wise, probably won't come till Thursday. Because remember, you got to move everything up a day. So everything that would happen Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is now Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So the Eagles' final injury report will be out on a Saturday. It will not be out on Friday. So we do have a little time to figure it out, but I didn't want to overlook those little notes there. All right. My thoughts on the Sixers game last night, and I know that the captain obvious thing as well, Tyrese Maxey had a historic night. To me, the Tyrese Maxey was the story of the night, but his scoring output was not the biggest thing for me last night. The biggest thing for me last night was the fact that Tyrese Maxey now has evolved into the player that we've always hoped a guy like Ben Simmons would be, right? He's evolved into the guy that all these other guys like James Harden and Markelle Fultz. Maxey is the embodiment of what every Sixer fan always hoped that all those guys would be. And when I heard this earlier today on the Hoop Collective podcast, it really made me stop and think for a moment. This was Tim McMahon on the Hoop Collective podcast. He covers the NBA for ESPN. All right. And so I want you to hear what he said and we can react to it together, because when I heard this the first time, I kind of had a bit of a step back moment and think. Here's Tim McMahon, NBA reporter for ESPN.
Okay.
That is an incredible insight, because he mentioned where Maxey was drafted. We have all been told for many years that the whole reason why you tank, the whole reason why NBA teams lose, is to get a player like Maxey. But yet Maxey was not a lottery pick. Tyrese Maxey was the 21st overall player in that year's draft. This is the same draft where James Wiseman, who is very much hyped, went second overall. A draft where Patrick Williams went fourth overall. Isaiah Okoro went fifth overall. Onyeka Okongwu went sixth overall. I can keep going. Obi Toppin, Devin Vassell, Kira Lewis Jr. Right now, when you line up all the players who were drafted, all of them, just line them up. Tyrese Maxey right now and he's going to move up this list because remember, he started out as a small bench player on this team. He right now has the 5th best points per game average of anyone who was drafted in his draft class. Now, Anthony Edwards, number 1 overall pick, he was a surefire going to be a star. Same thing with LaMelo Ball at number 2. But Desmond Bane is 3. And then the other Tyrese you saw last night is 4th. And then there's Maxey. Maxey has far exceeded his draft spot. And in fact, the only guy with a better 3-point shooting percentage than Maxey, who has played at least 150 games, is Desmond Bane. Not Halliburton, not Ball, not Edwards. It's Desmond Bane and Tyrese Maxey. And Desmond Bane was the 30th overall pick in the draft. Evaluation of talent is not an exact science. And after we were told for years that you have to tank to get the best player, it's looking like the 2nd or 3rd or 4th best player in this draft class from 2020 was picked 21st overall. Because right now, we all know that Anthony Edwards is the best player in this draft. I'm not questioning that. If you want to tell me that LaMelo Ball is 2nd best, sure. And you want to say Tyrese Halliburton, maybe he's 3rd, but maybe he's not. Because last night, I saw Tyrese Maxey outperform him. And Tyrese Maxey's team won. It was not a hollow 50-point effort. It was not a, he does this all the time. We're going to get used to it. Because you'll never get used to seeing a guy go off like Tyrese Maxey did last night. I mean, he's popping shots from Damian Lillard, Steph Curry type range. It was absolutely incredible to watch. And all I kept thinking of when I saw the game and when I saw the highlights later on SportsCenter and when I rewatched some of the game this morning, all I kept thinking of was this dude was a 21st overall pick. There are literally people in the NBA who thought that Isaac Okoro and Killian Hayes and Devin Vassell and Kira Lewis Jr. were all going to be better than Tyrese Maxey. And it's just a warning to everybody that we got to be careful when we judge guys off of, that guy can't be good because he's the 20th overall pick. Or, that guy can't be good because he's the 2nd round pick. Or whatever the stereotype is. We got to be careful that you have a situation where you might not be telling the truth. Because Maxey's a star in the making. And there was basically 19 guys in that draft who probably shouldn't have been drafted ahead of him. Sixers back in action tomorrow night. You hear the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. I'm Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Monday night. Coming up next, we'll get back to the NFL with Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press right here on 97.3 ESPN. Your home for the Eagles, Sixers, Flyers, NFL primetime. Monday football is tonight. College basketball, college football, and more here in South Jersey.
You haven't downloaded the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app? Well, go get it now to follow all the Philly sports teams at 97.3ESPN.com. Powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Oh, baby, it's Sixers basketball. This is Tom McGinnis, radio voice of the Philadelphia 76ers, and you can listen to all the exciting Sixers basketball action right here on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Brought to you by Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City's pre-owned center on the Black Horse Pike in Pleasantville.
Now hard on the drive, back to Joel, 3-point shot, Embiid dribbles, fires from out front, it's good, he made it, the Sixers take the lead.
Sixers basketball all season long on 97.3 ESPN FM.
With Black Friday appliance savings all month long at the Home Depot, we're making the holidays merrier by making holiday hosting easier with our lowest prices of the year on Whirlpool kitchen appliances. Get everything you need to store all your holiday favorites.
Dinner's ready.
And the leftovers. With top brand kitchen appliances at a great value. Save up to $2,300 on select kitchen packages, including top brands like Whirlpool with Black Friday savings at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Your palace awaits. Caesars Palace Online Casino is now live. Download today and register using code RADIOLAUNCH. New users get a $10 sign-up bonus, a 100% deposit match up to $1,000, and 2,500 reward credits after wagering $25. Must be 21 and physically present in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, or West Virginia. Minimum wagering within 7 days required to unlock bonuses. Full terms and wagering requirements at CaesarsPalaceOnline.com/promos. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In West Virginia, all games regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in zone.
So what if I need a new one? No problem. We have the right battery for your car, starting at only $89.99.
Get in zone.
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks DayQuil High Blood Pressure for max strength daytime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. DayQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks DayQuil High Blood Pressure. The daytime, non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold, and flu for people with high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Medicine. Use as directed.
Tired of hearing no? Everywhere you go, we turn no into go during Matt Platt Nissan's November sales event. Say no to low trade offers. AJ the Trade Man wants your trade, no matter the make, miles, or condition. Say no to down payments. Say no to payments for 90 days. And say no to high interest rates. 0% financing on every clearly marked new Nissan. Backed by Matt Platt's 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Platt Nissan.
Tired of hearing no to your credit? With your job clearing $350 per week, you can get approved today. Only at MattPlattNissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through NEMAT. Negative equity will be refinanced with the new vehicle, plus tax tag and $589 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. 0% for 30. Nissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 12/5/2023. It's on at Matt Platt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Powered by the all-new BetParks New Jersey Casino and Sportsbook app. BetParks.com. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
A career night for Tyrese Maxey. I'm Danny Ryan with your South Jersey Sports Center. The 76ers beat the Pacers 137-126 last night, extending their winning streak to 8 games. Tyrese Maxey set a new career high in points with 50 on the night. Next up, the Sixers face the Pacers again for an in-season tournament matchup tomorrow night. Hear all the action live on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage starts at 7. The Denver Broncos face the Buffalo Bills tonight on Monday Night Football. Listen live on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage starts tonight at 7:30. Your Philadelphia Eagles face the Kansas City Chiefs this week in a Super Bowl 57 rematch. Listen on Monday night, November 20th, right here on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage starts at 7 p.m. For more Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, and Flyers, download our free mobile app. Your forecast is next.
Rent, mortgage, car payments, life, it all adds up. So New Jersey is providing property tax relief to make New Jersey more affordable. Up to $1,750 for homeowners and up to $700 for renters. That's real New Jersey property tax relief to use for the things you need most. Apply for your renter or homeowner tax relief at anchor.nj.gov. Again, visit anchor.nj.gov to apply today.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. We do have a warming trend coming. A return to above normal 60s is on the way for later this week. For tonight, though, it's going to be chilly. Low temperature dips to 37 under mainly clear skies. Tomorrow, we'll pick up a stiff breeze during the day. It'll be mostly sunny, high of only 53. One more unseasonably cool day Wednesday with sunshine and a high of 54. Increasing clouds and 62 Thursday. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Visiting casinos a little too often? Can't seem to stay away from gaming apps you've joined? Just remember, the house always wins. The more you bet, the more they get. Don't let the house take your house. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit 800gambler.org.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig back here on Game Night, 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank. I see a couple texts coming in at 609-403-0973. We'll get to you guys in just a minute. Right now, joining us on the stream line, so we actually can hear him loud and clear. Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press joins us right now, as does each and every week, talk about the NFL. Rob, welcome back. How is your Monday going?
What's going on, Josh? How are you?
I'm doing well. So here's where I want to start with you, because I'm trying not to overly read between the lines. So it set me straight on when I see a team like the Eagles bringing guys for a workout, right? I'm trying not to overread into the fact they brought in 2 interior offensive linemen and a tight end, because to me, that would suggest that maybe you don't think that, the depth at those positions are going to be, okay for the next few weeks. So am I reading too much into that, to seeing like a guy like Andrew Norvell work out for the Eagles, or a guy like Noah Togiai work out for the Eagles?
Teams do this all the time, Josh. So I would caution not to read too much into it, because you're constantly going to look at areas on your team where there might be a depth issue due to injury. And obviously we know about Dallas Goedert's injury. We know that they've had some problems on Cam Jurgens being down on the offensive line. And you're going to always look to potentially get some more depth in there. However, it's certainly an area that you can look at and say, are they more concerned about, for example, Dallas Goedert? Is his injury going to be, is it more serious? Is it going to be longer term? Could it potentially keep him out? Are there guys who are banged up on the offensive line that we're not aware of? I mean, they did a great job of keeping Jalen Hurts off the injury report, even though we knew he has a knee injury, but he didn't appear on the injury report because there was never a doubt in his status. So who on the offensive line could be nicked and bruised and banged up and all that stuff? I think it's okay. It's not that big a deal. You want to get out ahead of it. You want to see what some of these guys can do, what kind of shape they're in. If you have to make a move, how quickly can they come in and get caught up to speed? That's where they're at. They're in a great position right now, coming off a bye, being 8-1, where they stand. And yep, it's going to get tougher. The games are going to be difficult. But if they need to bring in somebody to bolster depth at some point, they're obviously on the lookout.
Rob, with the Eagles coming on the bye week here, obviously they did not play this weekend. So for you, what was the team? Was it the 49ers? Was it the Lions? Like, which of the NFC teams? I'm not even counting the Cowboys game. I mean, they beat down Tommy DeVito, for goodness sake. But which of the NFC teams did you look at and say, man, if that team shows up against the Eagles, they're in trouble?
49ers were dominant, and aside from that 3-game skid, they've been dominant, right? Now, you can't just put that 3-game skid aside. They lost 3 games, and they had an opportunity to win the Browns game. They missed a field goal there at the end. But the way they've won some, they dominated a good playoff-bound Jacksonville Jaguars team. They dominated the Cowboys earlier this season. They've scored over 30 in several of their wins. They've got the addition of Chase Young on that defensive line. They're healthier now. Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel are back. That team that showed up for the 49ers in Jacksonville, and the way the 49ers, if they play up to their potential and their capabilities, they can beat anybody, any week, anywhere. It doesn't have to be in San Francisco. So I think that's the biggest threat to the Eagles right now is the 49ers. And the way they played against Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville, coming off a 5-game winning streak for Jacksonville. They were home. This is a cross-country trip for San Fran. I know both teams are coming off a bye, and as much as I love Dougie P and the Jaguars and what he's been able to build there, that was a disappointing, humbling loss for Jacksonville, the way they took it on the chin against San Francisco. And I think that just speaks to how talented the 49ers are, how they can just overpower teams when they're on their game. And the Eagles have to be concerned about facing them not just in December, but down the road if they do meet up in the NFC Championship game yet again. I think the 49ers can win it no matter what. I think the Eagles, if they play on their game and their injuries aren't that big of a deal, and they get some of their guys healthy, if their injuries get worse, that could be a problem for the Eagles. And like you said about Dallas, it was Tommy DeVito. I'm not going to get overly excited about the Cowboys outscoring the Giants in 2 games now, 89-17 or whatever the heck it is. But we know what Dallas is capable of, and we know Dallas is capable of coming to Philly and winning had they not self-destructed. And we saw that firsthand last Sunday night. So I still think you in the back of your mind, you're concerned about the Cowboys. But if I had to rank them right now, the 49ers would be the bigger priority. And you know what? The Detroit Lions go to L.A. and they win a shootout, impressive fashion. Their defense is not something that was their issue last year. They got better this year, and against Justin Herbert and the Chargers yesterday, they couldn't come up with any stops. They gave up 38 points. They couldn't come up with any stops to the point where Dan Campbell didn't even trust his team to kick a go-ahead field goal on 4th and 2 at a minute 20 or whatever it was, a minute 30, 24 left. He went for a 4th and 2, and fortunately for the Lions, got it. They were able to run out the clock and then kick the game-winning field goal. But I'm not going to discount the Lions at this point. Even though we saw them get dismantled by Baltimore, they've been impressed. They can run the football. They can throw the football. Whenever you play them, you would anticipate a shootout, and it's whoever has the ball last. So I'm not putting the Eagles in the Super Bowl just yet. I think the road in the NFC is going to be challenging.
You know, I was impressed with a couple of the throws that Brock Purdy had yesterday, Rob. I thought that he made a couple of throws that were they looked like high-level NFL. I mean, the one throw almost reminded me like John Elway, the whole running backwards, fading into the sideline and dropping the ball in. I'm not saying it's John Elway, but what I am asking you is, with all the hype around, CJ Stroud right now and all the talk about Tua and his stats and Jalen Hurts having almost the same numbers as last year, and is Mahomes so Mahomes? Should Brock Purdy be in that MVP conversation?
I think he belongs in the mix. He belongs in the conversation. I think Christian McCaffrey is going to take some votes away from him because he's having such a great all-around season for the 49ers. And I was actually having this conversation with a voter today who said, hey, Rob, maybe this is the year that a non-quarterback could win it with no real one big-time runaway quarterback. I'm like, and he also said, hey, it's still early. And I feel like it's still early. It's at some point, I feel one of these guys is going to separate himself. Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts are going to be in the mix because they're on the number 1 seeded teams. And the guys who lead the number 1 seeded teams should certainly be in the conversation. And I don't think you should discount either one of those guys because you're bored with Patrick Mahomes or, Jalen, like they're legitimate MVP candidates, right? Brock Purdy, I think CJ Stroud has earned himself top 5 consideration. Where that team was last year and where that team is now, being in the mix for playoffs, what he's done 2 weeks in a row to win games at the end against a good Tampa Bay defense last week on the road against Cincinnati, against Joe Burrow head-to-head, and doing that, he belongs in the conversation. And then you also got to consider some of who might come. Lamar Jackson was the hot name maybe 2 weeks ago, and then all of a sudden now he's going to take a drop back. What if the Bengals win out? Bad loss for him against Houston, but if they win out, like who's more important on that team than Joe Burrow? He could put himself in the conversation. If the Dolphins figure out a way to beat a winning team, end up with the division title and either the 2 seed or somehow get the 1, and Tua continues on this hot streak, he should be in the mix. Someone threw the name A.J. Brown at me today. Obviously, Offensive Player of the Year conversation, but could he be in any way, shape, or form in the conversation for MVP? Probably not, because Jalen Hurts is the guy who's getting him the ball, right? But I think A.J. Brown has raised a lot of people are becoming more and more aware of his incredible skills with the monster season that he's having.
Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank. You see at Rob Maaddi over on the Twitter X platform. Rob, we mentioned CJ Stroud for a moment. I want to get back to him because, we were talking about this earlier on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill about how, I was saying how, Stroud, to me, one of the biggest arguments for him is he's throwing to no one of consequence. It's Tank Dell and Nico Collins and Noah Brown. Jalen Hurts has an A.J. Brown. Tua has a Tyreek Hill. All these teams, Joe Burrow has a Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. There's nobody on the Texans who would start for another NFL team probably. And yet CJ Stroud is among the league leaders in every category. And I think that, to me, it's a huge credit to not just the organization and the culture they've built over there with DeMeco Ryans, but CJ Stroud, very rarely do you see a quarterback have success with lesser talent. And to do it as a rookie, it's just all the more impressive. It really is. I still, on a week-to-week basis, have to check who are these guys again? Tank Dell and Nico and Noah Brown, and who are these guys? And Patrick Mahomes doesn't really have anyone that great at all at wide receiver. He's got an all-world tight end in Travis Kelce. CJ doesn't even have that. So what CJ's doing is extremely impressive. I've really just been impressed by him from the first time I sat down with him at the Super Bowl, the day of the draft, the conversations, the maturity, the poise, his leadership ability, what he brings to the table all around. This is a guy that's just extremely impressive. And for a Houston Texans team that was absolutely bottom of the league for a few years now, to get things turned around, it speaks to what DeMeco Ryans has been able to do as a head coach, the culture that he's already quickly built there. And it's they should be set up for a nice, I don't want to say decade, but maybe a nice 5-year stretch where you have CJ Stroud, where you have Will Anderson, some of these other guys, and you have a nice solid nucleus to where you can be competitive. I don't think they're going to win the AFC South this year, but they're certainly in the mix for a wild card spot, and they're not going to sneak up on anybody anymore with some of the wins that they've been able to put together. But I thought CJ Stroud should have been the number 1 overall pick. I don't want to write off Bryce Young. I don't think he's a bust at this point. It's way too soon to figure that out. I just like CJ Stroud from a perspective of his build, his size, his ability as a quarterback. A lot of the same things I said about him, I could say about Bryce Young. Mature, poise, leader, confident. He's just in a terrible situation right now with the Carolina Panthers. They don't have that kind. They don't have talent around him. But I like CJ the best coming out of college, and certainly you don't want to say you put anybody in Canton 9 games into their career, and you don't want to say that they're going to be a bona fide superstar yet, but he hasn't shown any reason to think that what we've seen is a fluke. Everything we've seen out of CJ Stroud right now tells me he's the real deal. It's interesting because when you think about, because you mentioned, I like CJ Stroud coming out of college too. I liked him a lot. But you think about the fact that, the other guys in that draft class, you mentioned Bryce Young. We talked a little bit about Will Levis in the past, you and I, Rob, and, even Anthony Richardson, who's injured right now. It's like, this class was so talked about, and it just makes you wonder why, like, people don't always understand that the environment these guys walk into matters. And I think that's why, for me, D'Amico Ryans might be coach of the year. I mean, if he gets this team to the postseason, I can't vote. If I was a voter, Rob, I couldn't vote for anyone else, because the guys literally took a franchise that couldn't win more than 2-3 games a year for years, right? And they were cycling through coach after coach after coach after coach. And now he's turned them into potentially in the postseason after the first 9 games of their season.
Oh, 100%. I agree with you. As you look down the list of the teams and who's done what with less, or he's got to be a front runner, Josh, at this point, because you look in the NFC East and you go like nothing stands out in the North. Dan Campbell's going to certainly get some votes, and what the Lions have been able to do and accomplish, but they were pretty good towards the end of last season. They didn't get in the playoffs, but they were 9-8. They won, was it 6 of 7 or whatever it was. I think Dan Campbell will be in that conversation. Out west, I'm not. Kyle Shanahan, the whole world loves him, and obviously he's a good head coach, and he's got a ton of talent around him. And over in the AFC, there's been more underachieving than overachieving, and the AFC North, Harbaugh and the Ravens, but then they take it like right now. It's got to be D'Amico Ryans now, depending on how they fare and how they finish over the final 8 games. If they go 4-4 and he's 9-8, and even if they don't sneak into the playoffs, that still says a lot to go from where they were to where they are. But I would have thought the same thing last year about Doug Peterson, to take over Urban Meyer's mess and to turn it into a playoff team. And instead, Brian Dable, because he's in New York and it's the Giants, and I guess he gets the media spotlight on him more so. He got the coach of the year, and all he's doing right now is proving what a disaster the Giants are about to become. I just did the numbers on this recently, and I think he's about to become the 3rd straight coach to win the AP Coach of the Year award and then finish with a losing record the following season.
Wow.
Yeah, Vrabel previously, and Kevin Stefanski. Stefanski won it and then went 8-9. Vrabel won it, then went 7-10. Dable won it, and now he's about to go, I don't know what, 4-13, 3-14.
Rob, that's insane, because all 3 coaches they had a losing season for the same exact reason. Then it's because of injuries. I mean, the injuries that Stefanski had that next year were ridiculous. It was getting like it was turning into almost like an ongoing joke online. And now you look at what Dayball's dealing with and Vrabel dealt with before him. Like it's amazing how injuries can completely derail a team's season.
Yeah, and we see that so often, and that's why it's even more impressive when teams are able to endure the injuries and still succeed. Like you go back to, last year Shanahan was down to a 3rd string quarterback who was drafted last in the draft, and he still ended up in the NFC title game. But they have a ton of talent, and they made a trade for Christian McCaffrey. The Eagles were pretty fortunate last year, didn't have many injuries, but they're getting some injuries this year. I don't think Nick Sirianni should be overlooked just because of the talent that he has. I thought he certainly last year, taking a team from 9-8 to 14-3, certainly should have been in the top 3, not outside the top 3 finisher. But injuries are certainly they are a season changer. And look at the New York Jets. You lose Aaron Rodgers week 1. I know he's aiming and targeting for mid-December, but they lose Aaron Rodgers in week 1. Their offense still hasn't recovered. They still can't do a damn thing offensively, and they're floundering at 4-5 and just trying to somehow figure out ways to get wins because they lost the guy they were putting all their eggs in his basket.
Rob, before I let you go, because I do understand that social media is a cesspool where there's no nuance accepted at all. And I say that as politely as possible. I do appreciate that Mike and Marmora texted into the show and wanted me to ask you about, your recent tweets about Carson Wentz signing with the Rams, in which I thought him going to the Rams is a great decision for the Rams and for him, because, if anyone can revive his career, it's Sean McVay. I mean, he turned Baker Mayfield into a starting quarterback again, for goodness sake. And he got Jared Goff, when people didn't believe in him, into a Super Bowl. So, but obviously, the cesspool of social media went after you about Carson Wentz. So Mike and Marmora asked if we could give you the opportunity on the show to actually, say what you want to say about Carson Wentz without the 250 character limit.
Well, yeah, there is a odd hatred of Carson Wentz among the Philadelphia Eagles fan base. He has become vilified and turned into a villain for despite never saying anything negative about anyone in the organization, on the record or off the record, at least not to me. And he's never done that. They took a report that was not it was a speculative report. It was not a breaking news type report about Carson potentially wanting to be a starting quarterback and this is going back to December of 2020, was it, when he was benched? I can't even remember. It's
2020. Yep.
Wow. We're like 3 years later, and made it in. He quit on the city and quit on the team. And then I reported the truth of the matter, that he hadn't made any decisions, wanted to take some time to think about it, but the damage had been done. Carson was absolutely annihilated and destroyed by everyone in the media, by the fan base, and they turned him into a guy who is just hated for, I don't understand why, considering all that he did in the area and the fact that he helped the Eagles win a Super Bowl, the only Super Bowl in franchise history. There is no Nick Foles and there is no victory over the Patriots if there wasn't Carson and his 11-2, putting him in a position to get the number 1 seed. That said, all I did last week was tweet that, hey, here's a guy who once threw for 4,000 yards and never had a receiver over 500 yards. And now he's going to throw to Cooper Kupp, who's one of the best, and Puka Nacua, who's having a great season. Came out of nowhere, really. And I also added that he's not going to have to worry about Cooper Kupp anonymously telling anyone that Carson is a bad teammate, just simply because he's not going to go out on Friday nights and do shots with teammates. See, Carson is a quiet dude. He's shy. He's introverted. He's uncomfortable in the spotlight. And I think that can come across, Josh, as awkward or aloof. And his circle was pretty small. And when you have a small circle, that's okay when you're playing well and you're winning. But quarterbacks really have to be more like politicians, right? Instead of kissing babies as a politician, you got to be chatting up everyone in the locker room, from the offense to the defense to the special teams, from the practice squad to the all pros. And one of the most impressive things I learned about Tom Brady, seeing him up close for a couple of years, is how approachable he was, how personable he was, how relatable he was. He'd introduce himself to the young guys, to the rookies who grew up watching him. Like, I can't believe Tom Brady's introducing himself. Like, I don't know who he is. He knew everyone's name. He made everybody feel important. And I think the best leaders at quarterback have to have that kind of personality. We've seen Aaron Rodgers talk about sitting with different guys in a cafeteria each day so he gets to know everyone on the team. And that's what you have to do as a quarterback. Be a leader for the whole team. I don't know that Carson Wentz was comfortable doing that. Didn't make him a bad guy or a selfish teammate. He wanted to win. He did whatever he could to win. He threw a touchdown pass on a torn ACL, but I could still see how some guys may perceive his shyness and his introverted personality for maybe something different. So he wasn't going to go out and do shots with his receivers. He wasn't chugging beers with linemen. And I actually heard that as criticism from one of his receivers. Therefore, that's why I posted what I posted, because I saw that was an actual criticism. Someone was talking and off the field, outside the building, he's spending time at home with his wife, his daughters. He's just had a third baby girl. So he's doing Bible study. Like, he's a hunter. I'm not a fan of hunting. I don't get it. I wouldn't, like, he and I were completely opposite personalities. But all that said, you never heard a negative word from him about anyone in your organization or any of his teammates. And you never heard a negative word about him from a teammate on the record. Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, they loved him. any criticism was always anonymous, and it makes you wonder.
It definitely does make you wonder. I'm glad we got you the opportunity to clarify that, because like I said, Twitter, it's hard to actually explain yourself. You know, you put stuff out there on Twitter and you're always wondering, great, who's gonna quote tweet this or turn this into something that it's not. So, but at Rob Maaddi on Twitter anyway.
There's the block button, and I just continue to keep using it because people are there are some miserable human beings out there who, for whatever reason, love to attack people, and that brings joy to their life, and it's sad and it's unfortunate, and I hope that if you unload on me, it makes your miserable existence happy for about 15 seconds, but then you got to move on, and then you're going to be unloading on someone else. And if you continue to do that, you're not going to find true joy and peace in life. So it's sad. I think more people need prayers. Bottom line.
Absolutely. Rob Maaddi, about prayer, Faith on the Field, Saturday and Sunday mornings here on 97.3 ESPN. And of course, the AP Pro Football Podcast. Like, subscribe, share wherever you get your podcasts. And Rob will be back with us next week here on 97.3 ESPN. Rob, always appreciate you jumping on, my friend.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Rob Maaddi, of course, here brought to us by Jenkins Plumbing and Heating and Air Conditioning. Is your home ready for the changing seasons? We're in the fall. It's going to be turning to winter. It was down into the 20s last night in the temperatures outside. So are you ready for the cold temperatures? Is your house going to get warm enough? Well, call Jenkins Plumbing and Heating today about a new system from American Standard and Heating or a Mitsubishi ductless system. Take advantage of financing up to $15,000 from South Jersey Gas or Atlantic City Electric. Save more with rebates from these South Jersey local utility companies. A new system can save you on your utility bills. Find out more by calling Jenkins at 609-641-6440 or online at jenkinsandsons.com.
Kevin Harlan here from Monday Night Football on Westwood One. This week, Josh Allen and the Bills meet the Broncos. Buffalo needs a win following last week's loss at the Bengals. Quarterback Russell Wilson and Denver are coming off a bye and a 2-game winning streak. Ross Tucker and I'll have all the action of the Broncos at the Bills on Monday Night Football.
Listen to Monday Night Football on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7:30.
Everything is changing so fast. Back in my day, we were lucky if we could get one video to load. But now with the Xfinity 10G network, you can power a house full of devices at once with ultra-low lag. The future starts now. Restrictions apply, actual speeds vary, and not guaranteed.
This year, Staples will not be celebrating the holidays. Instead, we're celebrating the holiday deals with amazing savings for the holiday season. Save 50% on custom holiday cards, save 50% on custom invitations, and save 50% on custom photo gifts like mugs and calendars. During Staples holiday deals, it's not about the ho, ho, ho. It's about saving dough, dough, dough. Save 50% on custom cards, invitations, and photo gifts today at Staples. Ends 12/16. Visit staples.com/print for more details.
Hey, Birds fans, it's about that time. Football season is back, and Boardwalk Honda is giving you the chance to score big. Stop in and take advantage of game-changing savings all month long. Shop our lineup of new pre-owned and certified pre-owned Hondas. We have something for everyone, and credit problems are no problem with over 25 financial lenders to get you approved and on the road to victory. Visit us in Egg Harbor Township or online at boardwalkhonda.com. And remember, from Maine to Miami, nobody beats a Boardwalk deal.
Save on stuff you really need and stuff you bought for fun. Stuff you always really wanted this holiday at Amazon. Stuff that is discounted if you're naughty or you're nice. Stuff to buy your grandma who drinks her Chardonnay with ice. Stuff to make you big and strong. Stuff we can name in this song. Stuff for lawns and decking halls. Save big on stuff at Amazon. Stop.
Academy Award nominee Chaz Palminteri brings his original one-man show, A Bronx Tale, to Ovation Hall in Ocean Casino Resort, Saturday, April 20th. Experience this critically acclaimed one-man show that will take you back to the Bronx in the 1960s. A Bronx Tale, written and performed by Chaz Palminteri, Saturday, April 20th at Ovation Hall in Ocean Casino Resort. Tickets on sale Friday, November 17th at theoceanac.com. VicSVapoStick.com.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks VapoStick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks VapoStick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower for steamy Vicks vapors.
Use as directed. VapoStick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower use for adults only.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Come enjoy some delicious additions to our fall menu. Feast on our sweet fire barbecue wings, served with our tasty chive ranch dressing. Our Thai chicken sandwich with pickled red onions and sweet lime dressing, served with a mint slaw. Or Chickies and Pete's hot honey pepperoni pizza with extra pepperoni and delicious hot honey. For game day or any day, come see us all fall at the official sports bar of the Philadelphia Eagles, Chickies and Pete's. Hi, it's Pete from Chicky Pete's. Come taste our unique flavors for fall with some delicious additions to our cocktail menu. Try a pumpkin white Russian with Stoli vanilla or a tasty tequila apple pie with butterscotch schnapps. Or how about a fireball apple cider sangria topped with ginger beer for game day or any day? Come see us all fall long at the official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles, Chickies and Pete's.
A healthy weight, more energy, and smooth, regular bowel movements. 3 things everyone strives for.
It's me, Chuck Norris. There's one really important thing we don't talk about enough: our health. Achy joints, digestive issues, weight gain, and fatigue. We're told these are normal signs of aging. So working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick.
Morning Kick is a revolutionary formula combining 10 different supplements in one. Probiotics that help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and several of the most powerful anti-aging supplements on earth. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, focused, and help manage stress.
Anybody can achieve great health regardless of their age.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com. Use code SUPPORT or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off today.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511. Morning Kick. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. A personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City, a community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
All right, it's rapid fire before we get out of here. One more qualifier coming up for 99 Bottles in just a minute or so. Right now, George Summers Point chimes in at 609-403-0973. Says, hey, Josh, I'd like to know your early thoughts on the Eagles-Chiefs matchup, and if the mystique of Andy Reid after the bye week will hold true versus the Eagles. George Summers Point, I think it does hold true because Andy Reid has done it against so many different teams, so many different coaches. I think that mystique is not just a fairy tale or a myth. I think it's real. I think Andy Reid is one of the greatest game planning head coaches I've ever seen in my lifetime. He's definitely in the top 3 or 5 best coach when it comes to strategy and game planning. He may not be the best in-game manager or the best in-game strategist, but he is an excellent guy at having his team ready on game day. And I think that unless the Eagles are going to show the Chiefs something they haven't seen yet this year, I think the reality is that the Eagles are going to be in a tough situation in this game. So that's my early thoughts on the game, Jordan Summers Point. Paul in Ocean City chimes in and says, Josh, Sixers are exciting. The chemistry of the team is so much better than last year. Tyrese's block shot last night and also just adds to the points. Back-to-back comeback wins. Last 2 games shows the confidence the team is building. That's from Paul in Ocean City. Paul, it's a great point. You know, this team is fun to watch. Maxey is giving, like I said, Maxey is doing all the things, the shooting, the little things on defense, the assists, the low turnovers. These are the things you wanted from Markelle Fultz and Ben Simmons that you never got. And now he's giving it to you, and it's a refreshing thing to see in Philadelphia 76ers, who are 8-1, yes, just like the Eagles. All right, you heard the sound. You know what that means. Callers number 6 and 7. It's your chance to qualify for the 99 bottles contest. 609-573-3776. Caller 7. You are going to be a qualifier for 99 bottles. Yes, caller number 7. You must be present to win at the Anchorage Tavern in Summers Point when Mike Gilman Sports Bash will be broadcasting live from 2 to 6 p.m. Baseball qualifiers to be attendance by 5 p.m. that day. Again, caller number 7 at 609-573-3776. You are in for this year's 99 bottles contest. This is the final week to qualify. So make sure you have that 609-573-3776 number when you hear the sounder. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. Catch them up.
.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card good for use at Provenza Restaurant and Event Center in Ventnor for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
Seizethedeal.com.